Culturally defining, financially rewarding, dangerously entertaining. The Hollywood blockbuster has firmly established itself as a product of mass global appreciation. High-profile directors pumped with million-dollar budgets and ensemble casts, the blockbuster template creates a somewhat paradoxical exchange of artistic representation and commercial gain. According to film scholar Thomas Alcessa, the blockbuster concept is less concerned to establish auteurist credentials, rather focusing its attention on intermediality and the need to exist within social and contextual commentary. While Alcessa's definition may not account for every other intellectual's perspective, it raises key points surrounding authorship, industry, and spectatorship that are prevalent through the majority of any and all blockbuster concepts. While digital advancements in the modern era of cinema have continued to evolve, the blockbuster concept remains steadfast and irrelevant in its representation of the films that fall under its wing. In this video, we will attempt to highlight the irrelevance of this archaic concept by delving into 3 films that proved both crucial and detrimental to the definition of the modern-day blockbuster. We hope not to answer, but rather contemplate the existence of blockbuster theory in its past and present states, and how these may impact in the development of film in the future. So let's start with the Avengers. Establishing itself as the clearest example of Alcessa's blockbuster, this Marvel Studios enterprise became the 4th highest grossing film of all time. Capitalizing on a resurging mainstream interest in comic book culture and directed by cult television visionary Joss Whedon, the Avengers employed a litany of big-budget digitizations and practical effects to create a cinema spectacle of epic proportions. Bringing together an all-star cast of actors, the film was pre-sold to existing supporters of both the Marvel Universe and the previous works of the cast and crew. While the film's visual aesthetics superseded expectations, writing and overall narrative seemed to suffer as a direct result. Benefiting from Whedon's love of quips and catchy, meme-esque one-liners,
Shakespeare in the Park? Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?
the good versus evil paradigm made for easy digestion.
For you. I have an army. We have a Hulk.
Nevertheless, this led to an extremely lucrative meld of fan bases through spectatorship, unrestricted by cinema seats. Taking advantage of the newfound necessity of intermediality across multiple platforms, the Avengers experienced waves of online discussion that continue to this day. Moreover, there was no shortage of merchandise linked to the film. Fans were not just buying themed lunchboxes, but also figurines, costumes, video games, and even themed fragrances. As a result of the Avengers, fans watched other Marvel films and tuned into television shows set in the same universe, only further cementing its blockbuster status. "19 years before The Avengers was released, Jurassic Park hit our screens. Directed by Steven Spielberg and shot on 35mm film, Jurassic Park implemented a groundbreaking combination of animatronics and CGI, creating a startling realistic portrayal of dinosaurs that remains exceptional to this day.
Get people to say, gee, this is the first time I've really seen a dinosaur. This is really happening as I'm watching it.
Action!
Much like The Avengers, Jurassic Park was hatched from the existing source material of Michael Crichton's 1990 novel of the same name. However, while the narrative was loosely based on content from the original text, its thematic foundation and cathartic resolution were tailored with a larger mainstream audience in mind. Unlike the Avengers, Jurassic Park did not sacrifice narrative substance for special effects, and used both elements to cement itself as a cult classic. Similarly, an all-star cast was not employed, bar the exception of Jeff Goldblum. With Spielberg's name even omitted from the initial teaser marquees. Rather than selling the merit of its actors, Jurassic Park allowed a sense of mystique surrounding the creatures of Isla Nublar to propel the film to its eventual notoriety. Spielberg received plenty of praise for pulling this off. In a 20-year retrospective article, A.A. Dowd discusses this achievement, stating that Spielberg had done it, he had brought back the dinosaurs. Perhaps it is that the effects in this film were used specifically to bring the story to life and to immerse its audience into a whole world instead of only being used to add spectacle. Not that Jurassic Park was short of spectacle, but that everything that happened in the film was directly linked to the narrative. Quite self-aware, the film and its eventual franchise profited off its premise, sporting merchandise that would have, if the world existed, been sold at Jurassic Park. Just like other blockbusters, the franchise's most recent film, Jurassic World, was entrenched in intermediality. Again, pre-sold on existing fan bases and a specific authorial vision, Jurassic World, now the third highest grossing film of all time, highlights the foundation its predecessor established.
That first park was legit. You know, I have a lot of respect for it. They didn't need these genetic hybrids. They just needed dinosaurs, real dinosaurs. That's kind of enough.
Please don't wear it again.
Yeah.
Beginning its own revolution before that of the digital kind, Jurassic Park, and particularly Steven Spielberg, led the way to how we use special effects today. In comparison to these films, we turn to Christopher Nolan's mind-bending Inception. Made 17 years after Jurassic Park, but 2 years before the Avengers, Inception pairs extreme digital effects with a highly complex narrative, providing a possible example for the direction of future digital blockbusters. Unlike the first two films explored in this video, Inception doesn't fit all the traditional aspects of a blockbuster film. While not being based on pre-existing material with no current spin-offs or remakes and minimal merchandise, Inception was still able to generate nearly $300 million in gross profit. Fueled by a star-studded ensemble cast, acute post-production, and the capacity to incite worldwide debate, Inception may indeed provide an indicator of where blockbusters are headed. Following its successful portrayal of the Batman franchise, Nolan's authorial style was propelled into the mainstream focus, playing a pivotal role in attracting audiences to his later films and establishing a specific trademark within the digital blockbuster landscape. While some blockbusters of the digital revolution have placed less importance on narrative, Nolan opted to challenge audiences with complex storylines.
Let me ask you a question. You never really remember the beginning of a dream, do you? You always wind up right in the middle of what's going on.
I guess, yeah.
So how did we end up here?
We're dreaming?
Rewarding viewers with an extremely adept use of intricate special effects. This reflects a common theme in current blockbusters, returning to the simultaneous use of special effects and compelling narrative. Perhaps this is a reaction to what is currently possible with today's technologies, or maybe even a shift in audience interest and over-conditioning of spectators to special effects to the point of disengagement. This reinvigoration of the classic blockbuster is an exciting development in the film's discourse and could very well result in a stimulating increase in boundary-pushing, big-budget Hollywood films.
The world has just changed so radically, and we're all running to catch up. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look, how can we possibly have the slightest idea of what to expect?
Yo. 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 You'll have to get used to Dr. Malcolm.
So you two, dig up dinosaurs?